Awesome. So hey folks, my name is Mickey and I will be the host for today's Kubernetes 1.29 meeting. It's pretty exciting. This is the first week of the release, and today is September 6th. Please be aware that since this is a Kubernetes community meeting, it does adhere to the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which essentially boils down to be excellent to one another. Also, as I mentioned before, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted to YouTube. So please be mindful of that and keep in mind that what you're saying is going to be persisted over time. So to kick things off, let's take a quick look at the open discussion section. Right now, I'm not seeing a whole heck of a lot. If you have any feedback regarding the previous release, or if there's any things that you took note of during the retro for 1.28, please feel free to bring them up again in the 1.29 retro doc so we can discuss it further. And then since today is the first meeting, one thing that we wanted to do is make sure that we had time for introductions. So what I would like to do is when we get to each respective team update, just feel free to introduce yourself to everyone else on the team. All right. Let's turn it over to enhancements.
Hi, I'm Nina. I'm the enhancements lead for 129. And I, in my day job, I work at Solo.io, which is a cloud native networking company that mostly does like Istio and Envoy stuff. And in terms of like the status of enhancements, it's green. There was some updates to the handbook. If anyone's interested, I linked it there. But the biggest one that might affect the release team is now the enhancements board is going to track per milestone. So the status is going to be like at risk for enhancement freeze, at risk for code freeze, instead of just at risk or tracked. The enhancement tracking sheet is linked there, and we currently have 35 enhancements on the board, but we have to do some pruning to get it to be an accurate representation of like what the status of each enhancement is. So that's being filled in by the cron job that we merged into test infra earlier last week. So it's every night getting filled in with new enhancements as people add the opt-in label to it.
Cool. Thank you, Nina. Any questions for enhancements? All right, on to CI Signal. Viom.
Hi everyone, my name is Viom and I'll be the CI Signal lead for this release cycle. I'm currently in my final year pursuing computer science engineering. And as far as the status for CI Signal goes, we are starting with the yellow status because we have 2 failures on the master blocking dashboard and 2 failures on the master informing dashboard, all of which are under, folks are looking into those issues, and it's currently underway. And apart from that, I have CI Signal handoff meeting scheduled with our previous lead Mayhap on 8th. And the selection, shadow selection process is underway. So that's from the CI Signal side.
Great, thank you. Any questions for CI Signal? Cool. Moving on to bug triage.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yet. I will be the lead for the bug triage team for this release. And I've been a part of the previous release of the bug triage shadow, and at my day job, I worked as a senior engineer at Detectify, which is a cybersecurity company. And going into the details of bug triage updates, the status is currently green, no blocking issues PR, 12 issues and 8 PRs are open right now. And with further updates, the shadow selection is ongoing, and I will be updating the board for issue tracking to track the milestone for 1.29. That's all from me.
Cool, thank you for the update. Any questions for bug triage? All right, on to docs with Kat.
Hello, I am selecting my shadows right now, at which point I will request access for myself as an owner and set up everything necessary for the shadows. It does appear that most of the handover stuff from the previous lead was actually completed. So there's not cleanup from the last release that I need to do right now. I do have a couple of quick questions while I have Mickey here and Tim. The handbook says that you should do an intro as a GitHub discussion. That does not appear to have been done since 1.22. Is that actually necessary or not?
Who does an intro to?
You're supposed to introduce yourself to like SIG docs and the localization team in a GitHub discussion. It is at the very beginning of the handbook, and it's not been done since 1.22.
I would say do it in Slack. That's what I did.
Yeah, it says to do both.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
I think that might just be an opportunity for us to update the handbook. I just don't recall having any meaningful conversations in GitHub discussions.
Yeah. Okay. And on setting up access, the handbook also explicitly hands you a reference PR made from main to get ownership for yourself, but there is a linked PR in discussion that calls out that you should actually make that PR from the dev branch, not from main. Was that ever sorted out? And what is the actual answer?
I do not recall. We can either take that offline or talk with Ray about that.
Okay, cool.
Unless Tim, do you know off the top of your head?
If that's an approvers change, owners and approvers change, I would make it against the dev branch.
Okay. Then that is another update the handbook then, because the example PR is against main.
Yeah, I guess the thing about example PR is like it's never going to be against the right release branch. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And depends how much of an example it is. I haven't seen it.
Sounds good. Yeah, Kat, let's take that one offline because I don't think any of us know off the top of our heads.
Okay, cool. We're all good then.
Cool. Any other questions for docs? All right, on to release notes.
Hello. Nothing major to add at this stage. So I've got the shadow applications yesterday, and I'm starting to go through them in order to select the four shadows following the proposed guidelines in terms of diversity on all different angles. And that's pretty much it for now. The next action from release notes is in the 19th of September, I think, in which we'll start with the first draft PR. So we're good.
Sounds good. And did you want to give a quick intro for yourself as well?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I'm Fred. Fred is enough. And I work at SAS, a large analytics company based in North Carolina. I've been a part of the release team since 1.25, and actually Kat Cosgrove here is the one to blame for that.
You're welcome, and I'm sorry.
And so I've been in comms, in enhancements, and now after shadowing for release notes, I'm leading release notes for this release.
Very cool. Thank you, Fred. Any questions for release notes? All right, on to comms.
Okay. Well, hi everybody. My name is Carol Valencia. Happy to meet you, everyone. I work as a shadow in the before release as a shadow comms. And also I participate in the docs team in the before release. Well, my current status is green. I am reading and try to select the shadows. I think also I am reviewing the handbook for any update that we needed. I think that's all. Do you have any questions?
Did you want to do a little more introduction for yourself, or are you good with that?
Yeah, well, I think I work as a DevOps engineer. Yeah, I participate. I think it's my fourth being part of the release team.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any questions for comms? Alrighty. Do we have anybody from release branch management here?
I don't know that SIG release has locked in who's going to do that yet, but I can ask.
Okay.
I'll ask Jeremy today to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then I think we can kick it over to Xander.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Xander. I've been involved in the release team in one capacity or another since version 120, maybe 119. I'm not sure. Actually, last release 128 was the first one since 120 that I've not been on, but it's good to be back. I guess by day, I work on open source at Microsoft as a product manager. Yeah, I think my role through this is to kind of facilitate the shadow program, and that includes you lead shadows. So I am here as a resource. Any questions that come up, any help that's needed, happy to jump in. As far as shadows, you all should have your list of applicants at this point. If not, holler at me. I'll get that sorted, but hopefully everyone received them. The guidance that I mentioned in Slack is to, if possible, only select 1 to 2 new shadows this time. I think this is kind of my going rogue that I'm doing here, but I want us to kind of focus on returning members for this cycle, because we have a lot of folks that have participated over several cycles now, that, or even just one cycle, that want to continue contributing. And I think we can do well to kind of foster that desire to stay active and keep contributing once you've started. So we do want to welcome 1 to 2 new members per sub team, but also let's kind of stay focused on making sure we have enough returning members as well. I will need those decisions by Friday, and I know this is terrible, but any sooner you can get it to me is really helpful. And there is a reason for that, and that being because we are going to be leaning on returning members, and I know several of them put interest in more than one team. If we end up with more than one team selecting individual shadows, I want to have time to get that sorted and make sure that we get people aligned with the team that they're most interested in working on. So Friday is fine. Understand, people have work and stuff, but any sooner is definitely appreciated. And as mentioned here, when you are building the team of shadows, really try to consider the diversity of the team across as many dimensions as possible. And I think the one that does often slip people's notice is time zone. We want to be building teams that, as much as possible, stretch across global time zones, so that we have coverage across different times, and make sure that the alternate time meetings on Fridays and stuff are, we've got representation at those. Yeah, I think that was everything I had. Yeah, definitely reach out with any questions that come up selecting shadows. I'm happy to help provide input, and all of the lead shadows have been through this before too. So if any leads, if you have questions too, feel free to reach out to like myself or the lead shadows, and I think we can all help. Yeah, that's all I have.
Sounds good. Thank you, Xander. Any questions for Xander?
Yeah, so Friday, I mean, it's we don't have a lot of time, but if we factor in checking for previously checking for availability, right? Because one thing is people adding their name, the other is to actually ask, are you interested? I'm not sure if this is possible until Friday, but maybe I'm overthinking it.
Yeah, it's
Because
going to be tight. I think my goal is to have things locked in by next Wednesday. But that's where I think, if we can get things, if we can have decisions at least by Friday morning, then that gives everyone Friday to send out emails to the selected shadows to check for their availability. And failing that, Monday we would start and then hopefully have things ready by Wednesday. But stuff happens. I think it's going to be particularly important for enhancements. For like comms and docs and release notes and stuff, we have some time just because those roles don't ramp up until so much later in the release cycle. But unfortunately, it's pressure for Nina to we've got to get those shadows selected so that you're not scrambling to deal with all the enhancements coming in. I don't have a great answer other than
no, but you did. You already helped me. So I don't need to send you by Friday a list of validated
correct
shadows
by Friday. Right?
I'll send you the selection, and then we can check. And if something goes south, we can select an alternative going forward. Okay.
And I don't plan on sending any rejection emails until next week. So we'll. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right. Well, I know that Priyanka is off today, so we do not have our release lead, but she will introduce herself next time. And do we have anyone from SIG Scalability? Or Xander, is this another one to follow up with Jeremy on?
Don't worry about it.
Sounds good.
Usually what'll happen, which I'm sure you've all seen, is, if they have anything, they'll just add it to the doc ahead of time, and they usually don't attend the meeting.
Sounds good. All right, cool. And then to introduce myself, my name is Mickey. I'm a product manager at Oracle for our managed Kubernetes solution. I've been working on the release team since either 1.22 or 1.23, and pretty much without any gaps since then. So it's been a good chunk of time on the RT. If there's nothing else to discuss today, I will stop the recording. And going once, going twice.